Hello everyone, welcome to our debate. This is what we decided to do for our project, and the topic that we will be debating is whether or not crime should be censored in the novel The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I will now pass it over to Jack Wilson to explain the sides of our arguments.
Thank you, Jack. So, me and Michael Armin ultimately believe that school districts need to warn parents of the violent material exhibited in Huck Finn through a permission slip, not that the book itself should be censored.
While some people believe that The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn should be censored because of crime and violence, it is obvious that these are vital elements of the story, which should be left in its original form.
Alright. So, considering the amount of crime used throughout The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the novel shall with no doubt be stopped being exposed to the innocent eyes of children. To begin, without argument, the Duke and King are the most violent individuals that appear in the text. Both of these terrible scam artists embark on a series of 4 acts of violence, all of which include examples of terrible messages that should not be taught to children. For instance, the two are often seen stealing from innocent citizens, performing various acts of fraud, and doing anything for a quick buck. These actions are not ones that should be taught to the young adults of American society. To add on to this, the Duke and King are often seen overpowering Huck with harmful threats. These harmful threats can be observed in the scene where the King exclaims to Huck, "Ain't you ever gonna run away again? We're gonna steal that slave of yours." When Huck attempts to escape from the two with Jim overnight, although with all their violent actions, the crime of tarring and feathering is also an act of violence that in today's time would be considered a cruel and unusual punishment. Along with the book itself, the American Library Association did a study among various American novels. From their study, this organization concluded that crime is the 4th most commonly cited reason for book bannings in the United States. From this data, it can be seen that censorship of crime in literature is a relatively common situation.
Michael Armin, and many others with similar views, argue that crime and violence should be censored in books for students in order to protect them and prevent these ideas from influencing their actions. However, if students are not exposed to crime and violence in literature, they will be unprepared to witness it in the real world. For example, the American Library Association reveals that The Hunger Games have been in the top 5 most challenged books in 2010, 2011, and 2013. One of the main reasons for these requests to censor the books is the violence in them, which is also why Michael Armin and others want to censor The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. However, like in Huck Finn, violence is an essential element in The Hunger Games, as it is an unavoidable part of the cruel world in the series, and in our own lives today. To censor a book because of violence would deprive students of the views and ideas of the authors that are trying to portray, and this censorship would do more harm than good.
Ezra, I totally agree. And ultimately, what we see from a novel as influential, of a book as this, is the need for explicit content to bring the message home. And this content is often very explicit. It's not a swear word, it's 250 of the worst one. It's not abuse, it's alcohol-influenced abuse. In books that often portray this sort of violence are subject to controversy. We even have a small boy, Buck, explaining what a feud is, going so far as to say that a man has a quarrel with another man and kills him, and then that man's brother kills him, and by everybody are killed off. Books with violent content, while necessary for the point of the story, often require permission to read. North Texas schools recently ruled that they had to have parents sign off on their children reading books known for explicit content, like The Catcher in the Rye and The Bridge to Terabithia. According to the Dallas Morning News, books are an art, and destructively removing parts of their integrity are not acceptable. Instead, censorship should be achieved through parents having to sign off on the child reading this material. It should indeed be kept in its purest form, but its influence is definitely negative, and it should be monitored, not removed.
Jack, well, I do feel that it is a good idea to have parents sign off on a permission slip to see if they want their child to be reading this novel or not. I do feel like in the end there could be some flaws with that idea. And those would be that, who's to say that there won't be sometime in years from now that any book someone could find a flaw with, some sort of crime, anything in it, and then that book turns into a book you need parent permission for, and then a domino effect, and then it's really tough to read anything without having parent permission. I don't feel that this novel has anything so bad that children can't see it. While there is crime, I do feel that it's extremely important that children see it so they can get a better understanding of the time period and to make sure that nothing like this ever happens ever.
Right. And crime and violence are crucial parts of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and to censor them would take away from the purpose and understanding of the novel. For example, crime and violence are evident in this quote from the novel, where Huck is talking to Buck. "Did you want to kill him, Buck? Well, I bet I did. What did he do to you? Him? He never done nothing to me. Well then, what do you want to kill him for? Why, nothing. It's only on account of the feud." Page 104. This quote represents violence and crime that some people would like to censor. However, it is vital to understanding the novel and the author's purpose. The fact that Buck would kill another person just because of an unexplained family rivalry is a fundamental element to understanding the novel. With this needless violence, Mark Twain is using satire to criticize the violent tendencies of society. He uses his family feud to poke fun at and ridicule the civilized world and its propensity to violence. The Grangerfords and Sheppersons don't even remember why they're fighting, but they kill each other nonetheless. The ridiculous nature of this feud makes a very strong point about the violence we find in our own society. Being exposed to this satire about violence and crime is necessary for students to be prepared for the outside world. It is a critical element of the book. If this critical element of the book was censored in schools, students would not be exposed to Twain's classic use of satire, and they wouldn't truly understand the novel or the author's purpose in writing it.
Alright, so although crime is a part of literature that helps explain Twain's purpose, the use of crime is unnecessary to be taught in any school. Besides the book discussed in this argument, many other books, as Jack said, have been banned due to violent content. We do not want to have violence be completely removed from Huckleberry Finn, but rather, we believe it is important to have parents aware of the types of books their children are reading in school.
Okay, I do understand your point. However, I feel that this quote sums up why this violence and crime is needed in the novel. And this quote is from Huck in response to abuse from his father, Pat. Pretty soon, he was all tired out, and then dropped down with his back against the door, and said he would rest a minute, and then kill me. He put his knife under him, and said he would sleep and get strong, and then see who is who. So, it's an important issue to show this, as it gives a better understanding of the time period. Alcoholism was a big issue during this time period, as was child abuse. Without witnessing acts such as Pat's, you cannot truly understand what the children in this time period went through. More specifically, it gives some background to the audience as to why Huck resents his father so much, and why he wanted to run away. This sets up the entire story, and gives Huck's journey a purpose. By censoring this crime, you would take away a vital element of the story. An example of censorship being negative is the film industry in China. There, you are not allowed to show crime in films. This is one of the main reasons why these films do not become popular worldwide. It takes away the reader's interest, as a good plot cannot be set up or supported without crime being shown. In terms of Huck Finn, censoring the crime would cause an extreme decrease in reader interest, which would not be beneficial considering the novel's reputation as an American classic. In school, we are educated about the negatives of the past in order to ensure that they do not reoccur in the future. Therefore, these acts of crimes need to be left in the novel, so students are vigilant of the fact that they must never allow anything like this to happen ever. By censoring these crimes, you open up a door to allowing these crimes to show up again in the future of our nation. As today's generation will have no idea how terrible they are. That was fun.
Thank you for that point, Jack. Me and Michael Armin totally agree with you, although it sounds like you're trying to condone the crime that's being shown in Huck Finn. What we need to remember is that children are influenced at young ages by everything. Music, architecture, the environment they live in, things they hear, and certainly things they read, according to the Global Post. So much so that in Highland Park, students in suburban Dallas are required to give their parents notes to allow their children to read books like The Glass Castle, which have explicit references to abuse, rape, and violence. So ultimately, your argument is sounding like you're trying to condone this abuse, rape, and violence in the Glass Castle, and the abuse and crime in the Huck Finn. Of course, things like this exist in the real world, and of course children should understand them, but in an appropriate manner. And this is letting parents know. Twain himself once said, "A person who won't read has no advantage over one who can't." And we need to understand this concept while still protecting our kids.
Okay, that is actually all the time we have for our main arguments and rebuttals. So now I will hand it over to Michael Arman to give some closing thoughts on his side.
Can you do me a favor?
Being attacked by the wall. But keep going. The class will think this is funny, I promise. I don't know what's going on, but go ahead, it's funny.
Okay,
It's funny.
so
do it.
crime is an unnecessary addition to the
Move your
literature.
chair.
Can we finish? Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
This is going to be fun to go to the class. I think this is pretty funny.
Who is it?
Mike Arman, please tell us your closing.
Okay, so the closing argument.
We can cut
for-
this out. That's okay. Just start over with your
I think
closing
it's
argument.
funny.
It's really
Okay.
funny, actually. I kind of want to leave
We
it.
can put this in the end. It's like,
And the bloopers.
You should leave me.
All right.
When the
That's
launch is
worse.
ready.
Just leave me out.
Just do the
Okay.
closing argument. We'll put this in the bloopers. Just do it. I'll do mine. We'll be done.
Alright. So, crime is an unnecessary addition to the literature classes of any school. No matter the importance of crime and violence have on a work of literature, the explicit content can take a large toll on the emotions of any student. Besides the book discussed in this argument, many other American cities have agreed to ban certain books based on their violent content. We do not believe we do not want to have violence be completely removed from Huckleberry Finn, or rather, we believe it is important to have parents be aware of the types of books that their children are reading in schools.
Well, we agree with you guys. We do feel that having parent permission on books like this will cause a domino effect, ending with lots of classic American novels not being able to be read because of a little bit of crime. As you said, we do not condone this crime. We definitely think it's wrong. We just think it's important for kids today to see so it never happens again. That is all the time we have for our arguments. We're going to hold a vote after the debate, after the video ends, and you guys will be able to vote on which side you think did a better job. Thank you, and have a nice day. That's going to be hysterical in the video.